friends, and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 ways that a minimalist can get into emergency preparedness. If you're new here, I want to say a great big welcome. I'm so glad you found my little slice of the internet. And if you're not new here, I want to say welcome back. My little channel is growing all thanks to you. I hope that if you find my videos useful, you will share them to a friend or a community that would benefit, particularly if you're a minimalist or if you know a minimalist in your life that could use this information. Give us a share. I would really appreciate it. All right, friends, so let's just jump right in. What are 5 ways that you can start getting prepared for emergencies if you're a minimalist? Well, the first one is to know what you are preparing for. Just blindly going in and trying to prepare for emergencies isn't going to serve you as well as taking a few minutes and really figuring out what emergencies you think are most likely and that you are preparing for. Not everybody is preparing for an end of the world zombie apocalypse, for example. I know that that's not my number one preparing goal. And where you live could determine the most likely scenarios you're going to face. For example, if you live on the coast, you might need to have more preparations in place for hurricanes and or evacuation from hurricanes. If you live in the Midwest, you might be preparing for really bad winter storms. Or if you live on the West Coast, it could be fires and evacuations from fires. You could be preparing for a future without the grid. You could be preparing for civil unrest. You could even be preparing for something as simple as job insecurity. Whatever it is that is most likely for you to be facing, you should start there. Figure out what that is and what kinds of things would help you in that situation. So if you are preparing for winter storms, you might want to have a generator to keep the lights on and a propane heater, for example. But if you are not preparing for winter storms, but you are preparing, for example, to evacuate with wildfires, you might be preparing to have some kind of respirator mask to help you with the particulates in the air and having your go bags ready to go more quickly. Knowing what you're preparing for is going to help you focus your energy and focus your time and focus your money to go as far as possible. Right, the second way that a minimalist can start getting into emergency preparedness is to start with the very basics. These will serve you regardless of your situation, and they're going to hold you no matter what you face. Your basics are going to be water, food, medication, and fuel. If you have all of those covered, you're going to have a really great base foundation to build your unique and specific preparedness plan. When it comes to water, you're going to want a minimum of 1 gallon per person per day for every day that you are preparing for. Now, I think a week is the bare minimum. So if you live alone, then you're going to want 1 gallon per person per day, 7 gallons of water. If you live with a roommate or a partner, you're going to want to have 2 gallons per day for 7 days. That's 14 gallons. And since I like to round up, I would add an extra gallon on there just in case, so 15 gallons. If you're a family of 4 preparing for a week of water, you're going to be wanting 28 gallons, and I would just round up another extra to get to 30. I think 1 week of water is a bare minimum. FEMA actually suggests that those who live in hurricane-prone areas have a 10-day emergency supply of water, food, and electricity. So if that is more comfortable for you, then I would make the 10-day goal your base. But for everyone else, I think starting with 1 week is good. Once you know what you need for a week, you can easily then plan to double, triple, or quadruple that, getting you up to 1 month of preparedness. When it comes to food, you need to figure out what you're willing to eat and what will store well for 1 week of eating. This will include breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and probably snacks and morale food. What that looks like is going to depend upon your particular diet and your budget. If you have more money to spend, investing in some yummy freeze-dried foods like Thrive Life, where you can have fruits and veggies and different meals, you could even have meats if that's your jam, might be a nice treat for yourself in an emergency. But if you are working on a budget, you can still work with things from the grocery store. I have several videos on this, and I'll make sure a few of them are linked down below, and if I remember, up in the cards. You want to try and talk to your doctor to see if you can get a 1 week to 1 month supply of all of your essential medications, and if you can get them ahead. Some doctors will do this, especially if you live in an emergency prone area. Not all will. And if you have a controlled medication like an antipsychotic or a pain medication, these are a little bit harder to get. But do what you can to get at least 7 days of your medicine on supply just in case. If you can get a full month, that's even better. You never know what's going to happen. And if there's a supply chain issue or if there's a major storm, you want to know that your essential medications are taken care of and you don't have to worry about finding that medication when everything is in chaos. Finally, when you're building your basics, you definitely want to focus on fuel. Now, fuel is going to be how you're going to cook all the food that you're storing. And if you're storing stuff that doesn't need to be cooked, that's great. But you still might want to have a heating option. This can be a camp stove with propane or butane. It can be an outdoor rocket stove, whatever works for your particular living situation. You do definitely want a way to warm things up and potentially boil water if it comes to that. Additionally, you're going to want fuel in this form of lighting. Now, this could be solar-powered lanterns, this could be flashlights, this could be some headlamps, but you're definitely going to want to have a couple different ways to light things in the event the grid is down. Trust me when I say it gets really, really dark, and if you aren't used to really, really dark, you're going to want several options for how to light your space. Your third option is going to be creating a sanitation plan. Now, I've separated this out from your basics: water, food, medicine, and fuel, because I think that this is another step that is essential but doesn't have to be done right away. Creating an emergency potty or some other plan for dealing with refuse in the event that your plumbing is out for a few days would be essential. I'm going to be putting together a video pretty quickly on how to put together an emergency potty. These don't have to take up a lot of space and they don't have to be fancy. You can do this very simply with a 5-gallon bucket, some contractor trash bags, and some kitty litter. Again, I promise I'll be doing a video soon. But having a way to deal with that and to know ahead of time what your plan is going to be important for your health. No matter what, if you are staying put in your home and your toilets go out, you're going to want a way to deal with that in a way that keeps you and your family safe. The fourth way a minimalist can get involved in emergency preparedness is to pack their go bags. These don't have to be big and bulky. You don't have to have a tent. You don't have to have a camp stove. You don't have to have all the things. Even a simple backpack with water bottles, food, extra pair of socks, maybe a rain poncho, and some headlamps, that will serve you. It's better to have an imperfectly packed bag that's packed and ready to go than a perfect plan for a bag you never actually pack. Depending upon your fitness and your skill level, you can have more or less things in this bag. I will link to a video about how I put together my own go bags and what you can think about for those. These don't have to be bulky, like I said. They just need to help you get from where you are now to where you'd like to be in the event of a disaster. Just like with the basics you want to have at home, you want to have similar basics in your go bags, and that includes water and water filtration, some kind of lighting source, some kind of food or calories to get into your body, right? They can be granola bars or gummy snacks, whatever you have, though more is better. You probably are going to want some kind of shelter from rain. That can be in the form of a poncho or mylar blanket if that's all you've got. And I would suggest getting one good pair of wool socks because you don't want blisters. If you can add in a couple of band-aids and a small first aid kit, if you can add in some of your medication that you might need for some days on the road, that is helpful. Again, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to buy a lot of gear. Simple is fine, and getting it done is most important. The fifth thing a minimalist can do to start getting into emergency preparedness right now is to learn some skills. Now, you can inventory what skills you actually already have. I have a whole video on inventorying your assets. But picking some skills that will serve you specifically for an emergency situation is going to take you so far. Maybe it's learning how to start a fire so you can use your camp stove. Maybe it's learning how to cook from scratch because you tend to rely on prepackaged goods. Maybe it's learning how to create a rain catchment system so that you can catch water coming off of your roof. Maybe it's learning how to garden and prepare and preserve that harvest. Any of these skills are useful and can serve you in an emergency situation. Maybe you're someone who's interested in CPR and first aid, or you have a basic certification and you can do the next level. Whatever is of interest to you and what would serve you best, depending upon your location and the immediate crisis you're concerned about, is going to help you. It's going to be way better than stocking up on gear, which a minimalist wouldn't want anyway. It's something portable. You can always take your skills with you, and it's something that will last a lifetime. So alongside getting your water, food, and fuel, I definitely think learning a skill or 3 would serve you much better than acquiring stuff. And if you're a minimalist, that's probably good news for you. A bonus for minimalists or anyone is going to be to make digital copies of your essential documents. uploading those documents to a cloud file or scanning them into your phone or a tablet, that you have soft copies as well as the physical hard copies is going to be crucial. Particularly if you live somewhere where you might have to evacuate, and that's a very likely scenario, hurricane country, fire country, earthquake country, where you're going to physically need to leave and you know that that's a likely possibility. Having these digital files to prove who you are, what you own, all of that kind of stuff is going to be important, and it's a totally free thing that you can do. If you're worried about encryption, I know that Dropbox has an encrypted vault, and so this could be an option for you in the event that you need to upload your stuff very quickly. Having those digital files is key and can serve you and save you so much time and headache in the event that you do lose your residence and all the documents therein. All right, friends, these are my 5 ways plus a bonus tip for how a minimalist can get involved in emergency preparedness right now. You don't need to plan on a year's supply of food. You don't need to plan on having an arsenal. You don't need to plan on tricking out your house with a ton of gear, even if that gear is cool. The key is going to be having solid foundations that meet your needs for where you are and the emergencies you're most likely to face. It also is about building the skills that will help you stay empowered, calm, and confident no matter the crisis. I have a ton of videos for beginners, so I will definitely link a playlist down below so that you can follow up and get more information. And if you're a minimalist just getting into emergency preparedness, I would love to know what questions you have and what ways I can help you build out an emergency preparedness plan that meets your minimalist needs. If you want to hang out with me outside of YouTube, you can find all of my links to my socials, Instagram and Facebook down below. And if you like my Proverbs 31 feminist t-shirts, I have links for those too. I made them myself. Well, I designed them myself. I did not sew these. That is not one of my crucial skills. I hope you guys are all doing well. Definitely let me know how you're doing in the comments. And until the next video, happy prepping.